The Haunting at Port Isabel Cemetery. This next story doesn't just deal with the paranormal, but with the extrasensory perception. The apparition of this story seems to reveal images of the future that cannot be explained. Many believe that this is just an old legend and is mostly nonsense, but the people who have experienced the haunting will tell you different. Port Isabel is a small city on the southern tip of Texas near the Mexican border. The city is home to the Port Isabel Cemetery, where there have been numerous paranormal encounters. There is a certain story that is usually credited to the city's history. The story of the civil child, whether true or not, will certainly make you explore the grounds of the cemetery at midnight. The story of the civil child states that some centuries ago, a young girl lived in the area that was a prophet. When the moon was full, her eyes would go blank and she would go into a trance, then walk the streets telling stories of doom. On one morning after the full moon, the child disappeared. As no one knew where she had gone to, people in the town were concerned. Many thought that she had met a violent death, since some feared her as a witch. Even though she was gone, her spirit could be seen wandering the cemetery. If you choose to brave the night and consult with the young spirit, just remember, she might be obliged to share her gift and show you visions of doom that are yet to come. In the present day, a woman revealed a story on her encounter with the civil child. Her grandmother had told her the tale of the child multiple times, and she decided to experience it for herself. The woman traveled to the area alone and that night started her adventure. In her grandmother's story, the child appears by a certain tree, so she set out to find it. She describes the cemetery as dotted with trees, so it's hard to know which is the one. In her experience, she believes that they all might be haunted, as it is an old cemetery, and it might very well be true. As the woman walked the cemetery, she followed all the instructions in the story. She made sure it was a full moon night on the correct day and that it was after midnight. She walked the cemetery looking for the apparition, braving that she would keep her sanity, but as she states in her interview, she doesn't think she managed it. When she approached the tree in the center of the cemetery, she felt a shiver. She decided to kneel before it, making sure not to disturb people's graves. As she kneeled, she felt the urge to close her eyes. She describes it as two small palms pressed against her eyelids, closing them slowly. Kneeling alone in the warm dark night, visions would soon arrive. In the back of her eyelids, she describes seeing flashes and glimpses too fast to process. Even with her eyes closed, she sensed and knew that the skin on her arms and neck were becoming something else. She felt sick as her body turned to moss and her bones began to show through. Even though she never heard the voice of the child, she describes knowing things she had never known before. She saw cities bathed in moss, and illness became a plague, and eventually it spread like wildfire across the world. When she saw this, she screamed and opened her eyes. The night was calm, and she kneeled beside the tree alone. Ever since that fateful night, she describes seeing the same vision. She does not know how long it will continue to haunt her, as she feels like she's losing her mind. When we decide to explore the unknown and try to contact otherworldly beings, we should beware that things of extraordinary nature will most undoubtedly change our lives. Thank you for listening to today's story. Please don't forget to share, subscribe, and hit the like button. For notifications of new videos, you can hit the bell icon on the top right corner or subscribe on Twitter or Instagram. If you would like to contribute your own encounter or story, please contact me at the email below. Thank you, and keep an open mind, for there are things out there that are yet to be understood.